Good morning. Welcome back to the Old Fashioned Show. Happy Thursday to everybody. 21st is nice outside today, boy. That weather is feeling good. I hope you are feeling good getting ready for Texas and Kentucky. I keep hearing about all these Kentucky fans who are flying in from the game. South End Zone Queen said something about it the other day. I think Cody on our teams has mentioned something about Kentucky fans. There's a lot of Kentucky fans apparently that are traveling. So this will be great today on our show. We got a couple of things that we're going to get to. We'll talk about the injury report. Steve Sarkeesian, he had a media availability yesterday behind the scenes. Remember, I told you I gave that to you last week. I'm going to give you the behind the scenes SEC press conference that he had. We'll also hopefully get a chance to do a little Texas versus everybody. Of course, you know that's what we do on a Thursday. So I got that. And by the way, he's like, Kentucky fans, huh? They are. Apparently, what's up, Nate? Apparently, there's some people that actually follow the football team. I was watching the highlights of them versus Murray State. If you just watch that, you think like, damn, these kids are ballers. But then you saw them celebrating after every first down. And then I realized like, oh, they probably not that good. Because if you celebrate like that versus Murray State, yeah, you probably solved this hospital cotton. All right, so let me go ahead and retweet this. And let's get our show started right quick. Oh, give me one sec here. One day, I promise you one day, I'm going to schedule this in advance, and we'll go from there. All right. I put up a Denzel Washington since Gladiator's coming out tomorrow. Let's get into it. Let's start with the injury report that was from yesterday. That this came out last night. From a Texas standpoint, nothing really new as far as that is concerned. I mean, the only thing that is probably an encouraging sign is Colton Vasek. I think right around last week he was doubtful, then he was out. He's questionable, so it looks like Colton Vasek's health is improved to a certain degree. Still some questions about DeAndre Moore and Maurice Blackwell. You know, those guys will probably end up being some sort of game time decision unless Sark, when he gives us an update, and he'll give us a update today around 11 o'clock today. Do I have that? And then there's the Kentucky side of it, of all these guys who are out, the guys who are questionable as well. And then, of course, the linebacker, J.J. Weaver, who's probable. I would love to tell you that I know Kentucky so well that I can look at all these guys and know who's the impact guy, right? I would love to be like, oh, man, J.J. Weaver, he's probable? Oh, snap, that makes a difference. I don't know. But nonetheless, that's where we are from a Kentucky standpoint. So that's where we are there. And by the way, just going into this weekend, making sure that we pop up the schedule so you guys know what's happening this upcoming weekend. This is your SEC slate of games. You got Ole Miss versus Florida. I guess Florida showed a little bit of signs of life this past week. You've got UMass versus Georgia. Well, way to put yourself out there. You got UTEP versus Tennessee. The one thing the SEC does, I'll be honest with you, the one thing you'll notice about them is that a lot of their cupcakes, they scheduled their cupcakes late in the season, like real late, so they can have like a tune-up game kind of thing. Sark likes to do that stuff early, and he likes to kind of get a runway going of just, okay, this is what's happening. Let's get my team going. I think there's something to be said for Sark's way, because honestly, by the time you get to this point of the season and you play like Wofford, Kentucky played Murray State, not quite sure how much that helps you. And I don't know how many guys you want to, you can really get into that. Again, early season games, you can have a lot of guys play, a lot of guys rotate in. I don't know when you play Wofford, like what does that really mean in week 13? But anyway, Kentucky's at Texas. Wofford is at South Carolina. La Tech at Arkansas. You've got Missouri at Mississippi State, Alabama at Oklahoma, of course, Texas A&M at Auburn, and Vanderbilt at LSU. Really kind of a weak slate as far as the SEC is concerned. I think I said before, like the only game that once you get past the Texas game that I'm somewhat interested in would be Alabama and Oklahoma. Kind of interested to see how that shapes out. Outside of that, shoulder shrug, going real quick. Just kind of going right, just recapping some of the things from yesterday. I won't spend a lot of time on these, but I just want to make sure that I mention as we go through the top 25 and all the things that needs to get sorted out here. And then these things will get sorted out over the next few weeks. Obviously, Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, and Indiana. Indiana's got that matchup this weekend versus Ohio State. And so we know that is going to be the thing that everyone's watching. Thank God that's an 11 o'clock game. So while you're at the Texas game, feel free to get on your phone and you might want to watch that. Hopefully there's a reason for you to have a divided attention on Friday and Saturday rather. And hopefully there's not a reason for you to really, really be paying attention to this game. And hopefully you can think to yourself, by the fourth quarter, I'm going to head out and go get some pluckers or whatever your wing spot is. Notre Dame, Alabama, the U, Ole Miss, which is a dangerous team, Georgia, Tennessee, and Boise State. And then, of course, we've got the rest of your top 25, I looked at Texas A&M, so I said 15. You've got Texas A&M there. I think Colorado at 16 is really intriguing. Would love to see Colorado in the playoffs, boy. That would be very fascinating. South Carolina is a dangerous team. And then again, Arizona State, the Fighting Brian Carringtons at 21. They are in there as well. And of course, just a quick recap. Again, not spending a ton of time on this. This is what the current playoffs think. So we just know what's everything that's on the line here. If you're from a Texas perspective. And I want to recap it just for y'all who saw the show yesterday. Great. Also have to understand and think I have to sometimes remind myself is that people don't watch the show every day. And so I can't take for granted that I'm like, well, you did. I just did this yesterday. And he's like, Matt, bro, I was working yesterday, dog. I mean, so I understand. I need to go ahead and make sure I recap certain things. I just want I did a lot more of this. So if you have some time today, you can go back to yesterday's show. I did a little bit more expansive talk on it. You would have, if the playoffs started today, you would have Ole Miss versus Indiana. Also, Ole Miss would be on the road with the winner placing Texas in the Sugar Bowl. I keep telling you, make your New Orleans reservations now. So you're not sitting out there in the outskirts or golly, in New Orleans, boy, you better be careful where you end up. So you be careful on that one. Of course, we would have Alabama at Notre Dame. I just see both of these SEC teams winning under the scenario with the winner playing against Oregon. And again, the teams that how they rank it, 1 through 4. The number 1 team gets the first choice as far as geography is concerned. Number 2 gets the second choice as far as geography is concerned. So let's say if somehow, some way Texas slipped, in the rankings, somehow, those things could change. You got the Peach Bowl, of course, there, and we've got Georgia versus Penn State. I mean, I just see the SEC winning all these damn games at this point. And then you've got BYU that would be on the road versus Ohio State, winner facing Boise State. First 2 teams out are Tennessee and SMU. So that's where we are from a standings standpoint. I want to see where is. Yes. All right. So now let me see if I can get this ready for you. Okay. So we're going to spend the next 10 minutes. So so let me set this up for you and take this off the screen. Let me set it up for y'all. And I appreciate all y'all who are in the chat here. And I do say y'all because I am from the South. So Sark had a press conference yesterday. And good morning to everybody. Make sure that I didn't miss any super chats. What's up, Kiki? Want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats that were there. Okay, so Sark had a SEC press conference yesterday. It's through Zoom. I don't believe that that's made a public thing. But this is something that I gives you kind of thing, but I'll give behind the scenes. So what I did was able to record it. Judgment free zone. I wasn't home when I did it. It's a great thing about being able to work remotely. So if you do hear some background noise or something like that, it's not going to be Shannon Sharp kind of background, just so we're clear. But if you do hear some background noise, and why is Quinn not doing senior stuff? Because Quinn is technically not a senior, Sam. So that would be why. That's why he's not doing senior stuff. So I'm going to give you the behind the scenes on this one so you can hear the press conference from yesterday, again, through Zoom. But I do think it's kind of a cool thing that I don't really think you're going to get anywhere else. So let me make sure I can dial this up for you.
Hey. All right, Coach, thanks for being with us. While we wait on questions, would you please take a moment to comment as you prepare to host Kentucky on Saturday?
Yes, sir. Final home game of the season, and great opportunity for us this weekend to honor our seniors and their careers here in their final game at DKR. Obviously, we're kind of the third game of a 4-game stretch here in November, and we're just trying to play our best football when it's needed here.
All right, for questions, please raise your hand, and we'll begin with Joe Cook of Inside Texas.
Hey, Sark, I know that you've talked about in the past, even with Brandon having his role, that you like being a sort of general manager for your roster. But considering a lot of these guys who have this COVID year are finally phasing out of college football in general, does that make the roster building process a little simpler now that you don't have to worry about all the extra random eligibility years that kids could have?
Well, in some degrees, yes. That was always a bit challenging, but new challenges arise, right? And now more than ever with the transfer portal, NIL, and then that transition from NIL to what looks like the settlement revenue sharing. Roster retention is critical to the success of our organization. We always try to go recruit the best players that we can, and then keep them. And make sure that they feel like they're getting developed and that they enjoy our culture and our schemes and all those types of things, and then continue to build that roster. We've been saying this all along. We don't ever want to build a roster that's just a one-hit wonder. We want to build a roster that is good year in and year out, and it's got great depth and that can withstand injuries when they do occur. And I think we've done that, but the challenge continues that you're gonna have to stay the course with that and adapt to the changing times as they present themselves.
And then with those older guys, you've had Christian Jones last year. He was 6-year. Jermaine's a 7th-year guy. David, 6-year. What have they added, obviously, since they're being phased out, that's been really unique to your teams with that extra experience that they have?
I'm sorry. Can you say that one more time?
Just what are the collection of 6- and 7-year guys like Christian Jones, Jermaine Lele, David Benda? What unique aspects have they been able to add because of the experience they bring?
Well, I think one thing is they've all played for at least multiple head coaches, at least 2, right? And so their ability to be adaptable, to change, I think is something they should be commended for. I think that their ability to develop over time, because I think we could all agree they're not the same players today that they were 4 years ago and maybe even 5 or 6 years ago. I think the maturity off the field, emotional maturity, and the idea that they value the education and the degree. So I think there's a wealth of experience that our younger players can lean into from them. But for me, the part that I love is that, a lot of these guys, when they got here, didn't get to compete for a conference championship. And last year, they got a chance to win one, the Big 12. And this year, we're in the middle of the fight to try to get another one. And they've been to the college football playoff. And, as we touched on, even at that Arkansas game in year 1, there was 11 guys on our team this year. 9 of them were starters that were on that team 4 years ago. And so that's all, part of the process is that we're able to create some of these memories for them that'll last a lifetime and hopefully forge relationships for them that'll last a lifetime as well.
Goodness.
By the way, shout out to Joe Cook, who is a first-time father. Him and his wife just had a baby. I like Joe. Joe's a good guy. It was a good, interesting question. It's kind of crazy. I want to get into this one too much because I'm going to continue with it. But yeah, that whole COVID year that added an extra year of eligibility to people, that gave people a 6th year, that really benefited guys like a Christian Jones or a David Bender who just would have been gone. I mean, so anyway, interesting question. Good one. Let's continue on. Probably got about looks like another 5.5 minutes of Sark.
Next is Kurt Bowles of the Houston Chronicle.
Oh, darn.
Steve, along those lines, I think by my math, you still got 4 players that signed the December before you got here, and I think 5 the year before. I don't know if you've had any special moments with them this week, and if you could just speak to their impact on your program.
Yeah, I always I'll lean into that stuff kind of a little bit more towards the end of the week. But I think what I've enjoyed is the variety of the players, right? That everybody's at a different stage. Like, you wish to say they're all just cookie cutter and their experience has been the same, but it's all been, somewhat different, and on different levels, from, who Jake Majors has been, for those 4 years, to what Hayden Connor's experience has been, to a Gunnar Helms' experience compared to a Juan Davis's experience, and to a Vernon Broughton's experience, to an Alfred Collins' experience, to a Jade Barron's experience, to a David Benda's experience. Man, I think so many of these guys, their journeys have been different, that I just appreciate their ability to not just buy into what we've done around here, but, as I've said a lot, is elevate. And they surely have done that. And you don't stick around here that long without A, having buy-in, but B, contributing. And so the leadership they provide to go along with the playmaking ability, I think they've all turned out to be really good players for us. But I think they represent our football program on a really high level, not only on the field, but off the field.
Thanks, Steve.
Actually, wasn't a bad question.
Next is Chip Brown of Florence 24/7.
Hey, Steve, I just wondered if you could talk about the development of DeAndre Moore as a perimeter and downfield blocker, and how he's progressing this week.
Yeah, I think DeAndre's had an awesome season up until this point. We really challenged him a year ago to get into the hip pocket of Jordan Whittington and just say, hey, this guy epitomizes, what it means to be a Longhorn, the way he goes about his business on the football field, the selflessness he plays with, his ability to block, the way he takes care of his body. He's a pro, and DeAndre did that. And he's definitely become the leader in that room, that wide receiver room. He'll do anything we ask of him. I mean, we've had him block defensive ends now the last couple of weeks in the run game. But on the flip side, while he was doing all the dirty work blocking, the ball wasn't really coming his way early in the season. And there was no complaining. There was no, when am I going to get mine? And then sure enough, he has an onslaught there of a few games where the ball was finding him and he was creating explosive plays. So, he's progressing this week. We'll see if he'll be ready to go here Saturday. But we're a better team when he's out there.
Thanks.
You guys in the chat are hilarious. I'm reading the chat. You guys, some of you guys have issues. I'll be honest with you. I love y'all though. Some of y'all have issues. And so the last thing you will know, my question that I asked, it was, so you can't ask coach about a recruit, right? They're not allowed to specifically talk about guys who are in high school, right? But this was a kind of a nod, wink, wink. I'm talking about Fasusi, wink, wink, wink. And I can tell you, when you see the length of Sark's response to my question, he was picking up what I was putting down. He understood exactly what I was trying to get at, who I was talking about. We know he flew in on the helicopter to talk to Fasusu. We know that they're trying to get him here on this Saturday. And so just know, watch the response to it. I'm not saying I'm like some God's gift to like reporting or journalism. I'm just saying when you see the length and detail of it, I want you to know what I was getting at. Nod, wink, wink, and he totally got it.
And next we have Anwar Richardson of Orange Place.
Good afternoon, Coach. Coach, you guys have done a fantastic job of being able to flip guys, especially the late. DeAndre Moore, Anthony Hill last year, Ethan Burke, Gilbo Brooks, Kelvin Banks. Like, there's a long list. I could go on and on. What's the key for you, Coach, when a guy commits to another program, for you guys to stay consistent and persistent with that person, so if the opportunity arrives for them to flip, that you guys can do it?
Yeah, I think it's just that. We're a big relationship-based organization, and that's top down. My relationships with our coaches, our staff, our recruiting department, our training staff. I mean, everybody is really well connected in our building, and that permeates all the way through our players, and that starts in recruiting. And so, I know there's a lot of different ways to recruit, and a lot of ways where it's, you just try to, have 24, 48 hours of the greatest time of somebody's life and hope they commit to you. We're kind of about the long haul, and as much as some things get made and how we recruit and some of the flash and things that we do with cars or whatnot, but the reality of it is the substance and the foundation of what we do is about the relationships that we forge, and it's with the prospective student athlete, it's with their parents, it's with their coaches. And I think over time, that is what people are looking for. And not everyone is a perfect fit for us, and guys choose to go to other schools, and I respect that, and that's fine. But as long as we have the opportunity to really kind of put our best foot forward and to start some of that relationship building, I always feel like we got a pretty good chance to land the right types of kids around here. We definitely want to recruit really talented players, but we never want to sacrifice character for talent. And the only way you can find out about the character of somebody is over time. And so I think that's something that we've really tried to work on doing.
Coach, that's all your time today. Thank you.
Boom. There you go. So my man Harish, I saw you in there in the chat. So this was the SEC conference call from yesterday. Again, not necessarily made available to you guys, for you guys to get in there, but I make it available to you. I don't care. Until somebody tells me I can't, I'm gonna do it. But you know what, the SEC, they love attention, so they have no issues with that. Sark will address the media, which will be something you guys will be able to see today at 11 o'clock. That's not live, so I think they just put it on their website like a little bit later on in the afternoon. I'm trying to have a tunnel vision on all the Kirk comments that are there in the chat because once y'all get started on Kirk, it just doesn't stop. All right. Can't stop, won't stop. Eric Torres, he gets down, baby. He gets down, baby. Eric Sells Holmes, DFW. That was a really good segue, by the way. There's a hip hop person that knows like what I was just doing and knows the song. Eric Sells Homes, DFW. You're looking for a house, looking for a crib in the DFW area, looking to buy a home, sell a home. It's buying made easy. If you're telling yourself, you know what, it's about that time. I think it's about time for me to go ahead and do something new. Eric has got you covered. And whatever it is, buying, selling, he'll even travel for you. He's a good guy. He's a friend of the fam. Make sure you let him know that your uncle sent him out. And by the way, y'all. I was gonna tell you too. Be on the lookout next week. Like, just more than like I haven't received the word on this, right? But more than likely, if you start thinking like, oh man, like what I'm gonna give somebody for Christmas or something like that, more than likely rivals and it will have an Orange Bloods discount for like either Black Friday or Cyber Monday. It'll be something like that. They'll do something. So if you start to think like, dang, thinking ahead, like what you can do, you can actually give that to somebody as a gift. And then probably get the orange ones. So just be on the lookout for that as you start because we got to start thinking about what we're going to do for each other and gifts, and it's that time of year. So just take a mental thing on that one. I just want to make sure I told you that. I'm always trying to look out for you. Then the other thing is there's the Specs stuff. Specs, best prices on beer, wine, spirits, all that. It's about that time. I'm gonna get my $50 Specs card from the Opinion Sports Show. Boy, where are my Oklahoma fans? Boy, y'all quiet as a church mouse. I have not seen my Oklahoma fans around in a long time. But the Opinion Sports Show, as soon as Alabama beats Oklahoma, I win a $50 gift card from him, and we will drink live on the air and celebrate it. It'll be because
Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
All right. Cheers to you. We will have the Prize Picks show as well, so get ready for that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, my thing is, they were so hard and heavy, all the OU fans in the chat, right? At the beginning of the year. They so hard and heavy. And the thing is like Texas keeps winning, so they can't even come back and say anything. They're just waiting for a Texas loss. But the good part for an Oklahoma fan, though, is like in a couple of weeks, they get to enjoy all of December because they probably won't go to a bowl game. So they get to enjoy all of December, go out holiday shopping, Christmas shopping. Don't have to worry about being, honey, we'll be home for the holidays because we're not going anywhere. I miss them. Maybe we'll see them again next year when some way they'll build up hope. And then hope will be once again destroyed and sucked away from them. Boy, imagine if Texas wins the Natty. They will be absolutely sick with themselves. And I am here for it. All right. I'm here for this part of it too, boy. Y'all know I like this part. This is one of my favorite parts of the show because that's where Unk actually gets to do a little nerding out on some numbers, a little nerding out on some stats. I won't spend a ton of time because we do have Prize Picks coming up, and I got to make sure I'll be there for that. But when I started this thing earlier in the year, at the beginning of the year, and the main reason I did Texas versus everybody was because everybody before the season kept talking about, is Texas ready for the SEC? Can Texas handle the SEC, right? Now it's funny because now the narrative is, well, the schedule's too easy for Texas. Who have they played? And like, wait a second. First y'all said that you didn't think Texas was ready for the SEC. Now you're saying the schedule's too easy for Texas. I thought Texas wasn't supposed to be ready for the SEC. You can't have it both ways. You can't tell me that Texas wasn't ready or how they're going to handle playing in this big, bad conference. You got to get up for these teams every single week. And then Texas getting up for these teams every single week. And now you say, yeah, but they're not getting up for good teams. They're playing against bad teams. Okay, whatever. So anyway, I started doing this weekly analysis where I was like, all right, where does Texas compare against everybody? And now it actually ends up being a kind of a good way for us to see where Texas is stacked there. So I've told you guys before, this is my favorite website. CFB Stats is much better than all the majority of these websites out there because if you just like to look at numbers, it's so good, it's so sortable. It's just good. So if you get on CFB Stats and just go into the conference portion of it, like go into conferences, you can look through all the conferences. And then let's go to you go to the SEC. And again, you can go back from, 23 to 2026. I wish they were a sponsor as much as I talk about them, but nonetheless, here we go. So scoring offense. As far as the top offenses are in the country, this is the good for Texas, which is, I mean, they've really close to Ole Miss. Really close, a 40-point, it's about a 4-point difference, 40.7, 37, it's about a 4-point difference in points. But that's where Texas is as far as points are concerned. The problem for Kentucky, though, and we'll do more of a Kentucky analysis tomorrow, but you can see Texas is in the top 5 as far as offense is concerned, top 3 as far as offense is concerned. Kentucky is dead last. They don't score no points. I mean, they don't score 21 points, 22 points a game, essentially. So if you score 2 field goals, you're probably gonna beat Kentucky. Okay, obviously I know the math ain't mathing, but you get what I'm saying. By the way, Oklahoma, speaking of the Sooners, I don't care what they try to say. You remember when they tried to tell us how their life would be so much better without Lincoln Riley? Oklahoma team that this is what they're scoring, 25.1, is such hot garbage. All right, from a defensive standpoint, Texas has one of the best defenses in the country. They are only giving up an average of about 12 points a game. So scoring close to 40, 37 average. They're giving up about 12. You can do the 37 minus 12 thing to see what the point differential there is. Where it helps for Kentucky a little bit is that they're giving up about 20 points a game, so kind of middle of the road, but pretty, decent defense. Not too bad. So not a bad defense. That's probably their strong suit. Enough to keep them in games, not enough to win a lot of games. From a rushing offense standpoint as well, Texas can be better. Texas and Kentucky are really close, as you can see here. I mean, the yards differential is not that great as far as those two teams. Texas averaging about 161 yards per game. Kentucky at about 157. Tennessee is really doing the damn thing with their rushing at 226. But from a defensive standpoint, when we talk about rushing defense, Texas, Ole Miss is doing pretty good. Texas is doing really good there, right in the top 6. Kentucky kind of, you start looking at a weakness here. When I start thinking about my prospects as well, from a rushing defense, kind of down towards the bottom. Not as bad as Mississippi State, by the way, which, my gosh, who is in the interior of that defensive line at Mississippi State? My goodness, 214 yards per game? That's taking highs and lows. Keeping one eye open and still, okay, never mind. Passing offense. Texas has one of the better passing offenses in the conference, top 5. They're averaging about 288 yards per game. Kentucky does not have a passing offense. They're only at $183. Oklahoma's down there at dead as last. Like, it's a fireable offense. But hey, keep it up, Oklahoma. Keep it up. Keep it up. If this is where you're going to go, this is what you're going to go. Go 100% for it. Passing offense. And then, of course, there's a passing defense is concerned. And this is where Texas is kind of at that no-fly zone. They're only giving up 136.7 yards per game from a passing defense standpoint. They're a hard team to pass against. Kentucky, not that bad at 188. They got some pretty decent DBs that are there. I was watching the highlights. I think they had like 3 interceptions versus Murray State. So they're pretty opportunistic defense. They got some decent DBs. They're not trash. They're not trash. They're not Oklahoma. They're decent. Oklahoma's out there at 9. I don't know why I just keep picking them out. I guess I'm just so excited to get that $50 that is there. And then we do the total offense. Texas is ranked 4th total offense, and that's on yards per game. So you can see where they are there. Kentucky's offense, once again, not good. So this is one of those games where if Texas defense does what we have seen Texas defense do, Kentucky does not have an offense, excuse me. Hey, man, I'm from the South, man. I cleaned up pretty good, but sometimes this stuff just comes out. Y'all should hear me at night when I drink. It is so much worse. This is my code. My code switching here in order to get a check. So that's the total defense. And then total defense, that's total offense, total defense. Yeah, that's where Texas is from that standpoint. Hope y'all good. Where's Texas at from a punting standpoint, by the way? Yeah, Texas from a punting standpoint, I just wanted to see how bad. Man, that is really bad. It's really bad. Yeah, 40 yards per punt. Vanderbilt's actually at 40. Oh, yeah, that Vanderbilt punter was badass. You guys remember him? That dude was putting the heck out of the ball. That dude was lights out. Texas punting, though, really bad. Really bad. Shoot. Let me go back. All right, so let's go to we'll do a couple other things. We'll just go through penalties. Texas and Kentucky are right around the same as far as penalties concerned. So no, there should be no SEC conspiracy theory there. Time of possession. Again, just kind of going through this. Texas, it's okay. Texas ain't trying to hold on to the ball for a long period of time. And again, not much to see as far as time of possession is concerned. Sacks should be interesting here. Texas is 5th as far as sacks is concerned. Kentucky is 8th. You know what I'm saying? Like Kentucky, they are who they are. Like their record kind of reflects who they are. And in sacks allowed, Texas could do a little bit better, but Kentucky's down there at 12. Overall, just not that great. We'll do a couple more things here. But again, you guys can go through all this. Interceptions, by the way, this is where we start talking about that no-fly zone. Texas at 15 interceptions this year. Like that's lights out. Kentucky's at 10, but 15. They lead the conference with INTs. Last year, pass defense was horrible. This year, it's fantastic. Just total night and day for this Texas team. It's really damn good. Oklahoma only has 6 interceptions this year. LSU has 4. Wow. Georgia only has 6. Wow. That's pretty crazy. Then that was interesting numbers there. Let's go through third down conversions. Texas obviously could be a little bit better as far as that category is concerned. They're at 8th as far as their conversions are concerned. This is going by percentage. But when it comes to getting off the field on third down from a defensive standpoint, Texas is ranked 4th. From a defensive standpoint, as far as your conversions are concerned, and Kentucky is way down there as well. It makes a sense. The point spread makes all the kind of sense when you just kind of go through the data and kind of look at the numbers themselves. Red zone conversions, I'll do that as well. Texas, surprisingly, tied for they're at 8th. There's a tie for 6th. They're kind of 8th in red zone conversions. So that they can definitely do a little bit better as far as that is concerned. It's not the worst stat in the world. And then from the opponent red zone conversions, I just love going through this stuff. Texas usually, again, pretty stout on defense, is ranked 5th. And then Kentucky is actually tied for 1st as far as their opponent's red zone conversion. So this is actually a good stat for Kentucky. You get down in the red zone, they actually play pretty well down there. Not bad from an opponent red zone conversion thing. But again, that's the only way Kentucky can win this thing, right? Kentucky can win this thing obviously through, and I want to do one more thing. Kentucky win this thing by making it into a defensive game and just making it dirty and muddy. Anything past that, and they're going to have a real tough thing. Okay, so long pass plays. Let's just go here because y'all, this stat y'all like a lot. I skipped over one. Texas is ranked 5th as far as long passing plays are concerned. Ole Miss, LSU, Arkansas, Georgia, and there's Texas. That's there. Oklahoma 16th. My God. So that's where Texas is for all those. So like where the long pass plays and connections down the field. This is where Texas is ranked. I skipped over one, and let's just go for last one: long scrimmage plays. Again, Texas tied for 4th as far as long scrimmage plays, explosive plays. This comes sometimes a deceiving stat because sometimes lucky things happen, but Kentucky, nah. They were ranked 11th. And as far as opponent long scrimmage plays, the one thing that Texas does extremely well is that they don't have breakdowns. They haven't had a play. They've only had one play that they've given up over 50 yards this year. One play over 50 yards. That's the most someone has gained. I think I talked about this recently, and he just talked about the communication that they have and how they communicate so well in the backfield. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, one play over 50 yards for this defense, only 3 plays of 40 yards or more. I mean, I'm going to sort that. Just to give you an example, Texas and Tennessee have given up 3 plays of 40 yards or more. The worst of it is Texas A&M that's actually given up 12 plays of 40 yards or more. I know that's looking ahead to next week, but Kentucky also at 11 plays. So these are weaknesses that you look at. And then 50 yards or more, this is what's crazy. Texas is tied for 1st with only 1 play for 50 yards or more. Arkansas has given up 10. So just from a defensive standpoint, just going through that, Texas is not a team that you look at and you say like, oh man, that's a team that you're going to exploit in that way. It's just not what they do. It's just not what they do. I'm going to get into a super chat here. Taylor asked a question. Good morning to you, Taylor. He goes, why hasn't Nyback played? Is he a transfer risk? I mean, he hasn't played. I don't. How do I say it? I mean, you're not playing and you're not seeing the field unless you're better than the guys in front of you, and he's just not better than the guys who are in front of him. So, and the times he has gotten in, he hasn't really done a whole lot. So that's all it is. And is he a transfer risk? I mean, it's potentially sure, but anybody who doesn't get a lot of PT is kind of a transfer risk. So the one thing that Sark and those guys don't have happen a lot is that they don't have guys who are starters really go into the portal. And most of the time when they have somebody that goes in the portal, it's a person who just hasn't played a lot. And quite honest with you, it's kind of a shoulder shrug. So I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Nyback. I want to answer your question. It's kind of like a delicate balance over on this one. But, if he's a transfer risk, I mean, they've got plenty of other guys that are behind him. And then if not, if he does what he needs to do, honestly, you just wait your turn. Gunner is going to be gone. Juan Davis is going to be gone. And then you got a shot next year. So if I'm him, I just hold on and think to myself what happens next year. But they also have the freshman who's really damn good. So no matter what, like Nyback is going to have to compete against them. Let me go to Ruben. He's got a $5 super chat here. Because people will be saying a game like Arkansas won't be good enough, but that D was lights out. Why won't 20 points a game be good enough to win out with the number 1 D? Why won't 20 points a game be good enough to win out with the number 1 D? Well, it should be good enough, I would think. I would think 20 points a game should be good enough. I mean, you don't want to do that every week now. Like that's putting a lot of pressure on your defense, but they are that good. I get what you're saying. The defense overall has been pretty damn lights out. If we're just being quite honest with you, the defense have been pretty good. They was also good against Georgia. They got interceptions against Georgia as well. Like they've been tough all year long. So, I mean, they're only giving up. What's the average? I think is the average that Texas is giving up is probably hold on. Scoring defense, they are giving up an average of 13 points a game this year. That's their average. So that is actually good enough, Ruben, because they're actually giving up 13 on an average. So it is what it is. Let me make sure I don't miss another super chat in here. Let me just, because I saw 2. I don't want anybody to feel like, okay, I only see 2, which is fine. And I'm not saying only like y'all did something wrong and just don't have to pass collection play. I just want to make sure I didn't do anybody wrong or dismiss anything. All right, so let me go ahead and get out of here because we do have Prize Picks show that's coming up in the next 15 minutes. So I've got to clear the deck and get ready for that. We'll talk about Quinn tomorrow. We'll get more into him, but I am probably not as worried about it. And I just look at the bottom line that the Texas is 9-1, and they're winning, and Sark thinks it's good enough, so that's good enough for me. I'm not as worried about Quinn as some other people are. And at the end of the day, Texas fans, Sark ain't going to make a change. And one of my boys asked me, he goes, well, what happens if you're going to pull a Nick Saban and bench him? All right, so I was like, stop. All right, let's not do that. Let's not do that. And by the way, you're also, if you do the Nick Saban, he benched one guy, he brought into, okay, you're also talking about a really horrible scenario. As a Texas fan, that's not the scenario you want. You don't want your team to be trailing or not looking good at halftime and your starter has to get benched. You don't want none of that, all right? Let's not speak that evil on us, Ricky Bobby. Let's not speak that evil on us, Ricky Bobby. All right, it's the outro for the intro. Remember what I always say, live each day like it was your last, because one day it will be. So today's Thursday. Go out and do something special for yourself because you absolutely deserve it. I'll be back in 15 minutes for the Prize Picks show. Y'all take care. Hit the like button if you haven't. Subscribe to the channel. Love you.